So, as we expected, and as you've probably heard at this point, Anthony Richardson did make his way to the IR. Expected to miss 4 to 8 weeks was the timeline that I believe it was Adam Schefter said when he put his tweet out. Coach said there's no timeline on this thing. He didn't answer any questions about whether he's going to be back this season or whether he expects him to be back this season. He was pretty hush hush about it. He said that Coach Steichen said that they're waiting right now for the doctors to make their determination on whether or not he's going to need surgery and how long the rehab is going to be and what the whole situation is going to be. So apparently they're just expecting him to miss enough time that they went ahead, placed him on IR. And again, that was an expected move because they were bringing in wide receiver Anthony Miller and quarterback Kellen Mond into the practice squad. And as we talked about in a previous video, wide receiver Juwan Winfrey was also let go from the practice squad because of these moves. And the last move that was made to make room on the practice squad was that the team has signed Ike Bodiger, who we've seen, the offensive lineman who we've seen get taken into games from the practice squad over the past couple of weeks. They went ahead, signed him to the 53-man roster. I think that just makes sense. You think about the Colts' depth at the offensive line isn't great, right? So they've been bringing him in anyways. You're going to have somebody else in there. You might as well make it Ike, who, you were running out of times. You could bring him up to the active roster. They went ahead, signed him to the 53-man roster. We'll see if he stays there. Now, in some other injury news, the Colts' Wednesday practice report looks pretty clean. I'd venture to say we might be one of the healthier teams in the NFL. Granted, we have people on IR, but when you look at this practice report, we have tight end Mo Alley Cox out with the concussion. He's almost certainly not going to play in the game coming up. He did not practice on Wednesday. Braden Smith also did not practice on Wednesday with a foot and a wrist, and we'll see how that progresses through the week. It'll be nice to have him. He's been really good over the last couple of weeks. Be really nice to have him in the lineup. Then you look at the rest of it. Shaq Leonard was out last week with the groin. Kwity Paye out last week with a concussion. Bernard Raymond out last week with a concussion. And all three of those guys were full participants in practice on Wednesday, which bodes very well for this upcoming week. As we go into Jacksonville, we're going to need all hands on deck. And kind of as expected, getting these guys back, going to have some reinforcements coming in going into Jacksonville, which is a place we have not won in a long time. And I, for one, think that it's going to be most poetic when Gardner Minshew is the one that helps us break the curse. I think I speak for all of Colts Nation when I say that we would probably rather have Anthony Richardson in Jacksonville, but the football gods have blessed it this way. Gardner somehow chose Indy to be the place that he wanted to go play football. Somehow, some way, we ended up in a situation where Gardner is the guy that's going to be the quarterback going into Jacksonville. Script writers are doing the most this year, and I love the way this one's going. Gardner Minshew gonna lead the boys in there and hopefully get that dub. And luckily, it won't all have to be Gardner Minshew, right? The run game's been doing their thing. And I saw a report from J.J. Stankovich, who writes for the Colts, and he said today that the Colts are going to ramp up Jonathan Taylor's workload in practice this week, starting with Wednesday's full practice ahead of Sunday's game. So last week when Jonathan Taylor came back to practice, they didn't have pads for either of those days. The Wednesday was a walkthrough. The team is starting off with a fully padded practice, trying to get JT more involved again, because if you didn't see the last video, the unofficial depth chart did have Jonathan Taylor back at running back 1. So they expect him to be more full go this week. I expect this week to be more of an even split is what I would think this week's going to bring. But if Jonathan Taylor comes out hot, then they're probably just going to ride that hot hand. I think that's the approach that Shane Steichen has wanted to take and will probably continue to take as the season unfolds. And hopefully that can be Jonathan Taylor. Like, it would be sweet if we could see Jonathan Taylor go off one week, Zach Moss the next, Jonathan Taylor the next, and just keep bouncing back and forth. that running back duo complementing what Gardner can bring in the pass game, as we're seeing Josh Downs become more of a factor, Drew Ogletree become more of a factor. Having those guys open things up in the pass game will make Michael Pittman Jr. more effective in what he's asked to do. And hopefully at some point, Alec Pierce can be involved in the pass game. So overall, I like the way things are going. Again, we're one of the more healthy teams in the NFL right now. And going into Jacksonville, that's all you could really ask for. You want to have all your guys going into a place where you haven't been able to win. Okay. And I don't really so much believe in curses as I do in energy, right? And the kind of energy, like you think about, what was it, 2021, the Carson Wentz year, last game of the season. Everybody that whole week was talking about, we haven't won in so long there, haven't won in so long there. And what happened? We went in with the energy that we haven't won there in forever, and we lost. And now this year, it seems that people, at least right now, aren't really even bringing up that fact. Maybe it's just a played out narrative, but I feel like it's because people understand that this Colts team isn't the Colts team of the past, right? This Colts team is in it to change the narrative of who they are. And the great thing about this team is that they don't care about what the media says about them. They care about what the narrative is inside the building, right? Zaire Franklin was on NFL Network earlier today. And when they asked him about Coach, he was talking about how Coach has brought in a culture of accountability and that it's infectious within the locker room. And with that kind of energy going into Jacksonville, that's why I think this one can be a lot different than what we've seen in the past. So I'm excited for this week, excited for the injury report. Obviously, missing out on Anthony Richardson and not being able to see him play football is a bit of a downer, but still coming into this one, I'm excited, man. Again, another division game. These division games are always pumped up, especially because of the way the division has been in recent years, with the different teams winning the division in recent years. All these teams kind of better than everybody expected to be this year. So there's going to be a lot of juice coming into Jacksonville this week, and I cannot wait for it. And as any more updates come out about Anthony Richardson, again, there's supposed to be more of a final word and a more of a timeline. Is he going to need surgery? Is he not going to need surgery? We'll know more at that point. Just not exactly sure right now when that news is going to happen, but when it does, I have some time over the next couple of days. Hopefully, I'll be able to get that news to you as soon as possible. So with that, before we get out of here, if you're somebody that drops by the channel on a regular basis and you're not subscribed, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 1,000. And I can tell by these numbers here of returning viewers and new viewers that we should easily be able to hit that 1,000 mark. And hey, at the end of the day, it's a great free way to support the channel. All right, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Keep your notifications on so you get notified when some Colts news comes out. Again, I have some time over the next couple of days, so anything that happens, I'll get it to you guys as quickly as I possibly can. But until next time, as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.